Welcome to the 1990s Decade Special for the new year. It's been a great decade, guys. This decade sure has been full of lots of interesting incidents. Today we will be covering the main events that occurred throughout the decade. The events we will be covering include the drama revolving around O.J. Simpson, the Clinton impeachment trials, Nirvana, Dolly the clone sheep, and Clinton ordering the bombing of Al-Qaeda outposts in Africa. Let's get started.
As we look at the big events that occurred this past decade, many can agree that Clinton's decision to order the bombing on Al-Qaeda's outposts in Africa is one of the most controversial events to take place in the United States. President Bill Clinton ordered the bombing on August 20th, 1998. Let's look at the events that led up to this decision. On December 29th, 1992, an alleged plot to kill a U.S. serviceman headed to Somalia was discovered. Soon after the discovery, a bomb exploded at a hotel in Aden, Somalia. The U.S. serviceman was staying. Intelligence officials believed this was Al-Qaeda's first attack. Then, on February 26, 1993, a truck exploded in the parking garage of the World Trade Center, killing 6 and injuring hundreds. Osama bin Laden's name surfaced in the investigation, igniting fear and confusion. There are also many alleged reports about Al-Qaeda receiving information from a U.S. citizen. These reports were confirmed on May 22, 1987, when it was determined by FBI officials that there was Al-Qaeda-controlled terrorist groups operating in the United States. These events caused the U.S. to carry out the bombing in late August, causing chaos among Al-Qaeda operatives. But these are not the only problems Clinton's administration faced. Lillie is here with a recap.
Thanks, Alexis. The 1990s included many political problems, but perhaps the most prominent was the impeachment trials of the United States president. William Jefferson Clinton, our nation's 42nd president, endured many months of federal investigation, which culminated in his impeachment trials in 1999. The Clinton administration was riddled with controversy from the start. Clinton's wife, Hillary Rodham Clinton, expressed immediately that she would not take the usual lackadaisical position as First Lady. She intended to be involved in policymaking. This, coupled with Clinton's radical liberal ideas, served to alienate most of the country's conservatives and many others besides. Then came the Travelgate scandal, as it was known, when President Clinton fired 7 White House employees and replaced them with friends of his from Arkansas. The later investigation into the fired workers was widely seen as an attempt to justify the actions that many perceived as an immoral decision. Later was the Whitewater issue that, by a strange turn of events, led to the impeachment trials of our 42nd president. After the president's first special counsel, Robert Fisk, finished his tenure, he was replaced by staunch Republican Kenneth W. Starr, a former Justice Department official in the Reagan administration. Eventually, Starr's investigation deviated from Clinton's involvement in the Whitewater Corporation and onto the personal conduct of the Clintons. Eventually, after much argument about the trials, President Bill Clinton was found guilty of perjury before a federal grand jury in regard to the testimony he gave about his relationship with White House intern Monica Lewinsky. The resulting impeachment trials eventually led to the president's acquittal on all counts, and he will serve the remainder of his term until 2001. Apart from presidential conundrums, this decade had other issues. Here is Rayna remembering the O.J. Simpson trials.
The O.J. Simpson trial was the trial of the century. On June 12, 1994, the bodies of Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ronald Goodman were found stabbed to death outside her condominium in Los Angeles, Brentwood area. Then on June 13th, Simpson was arrested and charged on account of the murders of Nicole Simpson and Ronald Goodman. When the evidence led the police to suspect Simpson of the murder, he fled with the disguise and passport in his Bronco in a nationally televised slow-speed chase. Simpson finally surrendered voluntarily at his mansion, and Simpson pled 100% not guilty. After the 6-day preliminary hearing ended with Judge Kathleen Kennedy Powell ruling there was sufficient evidence for O.J. Simpson to stand trial on 2 accounts of the first-degree murder. Although District Attorney announced that the death penalty will not be sought. The jury consisted of 8 black, 1 white, 1 Hispanic, 2 mixed race, 8 women, and 4 men. Then later an alternate jury was selected. The trial began June 24, 1995, and ended October 3rd. During the trial, Nicole Brown's sister Denise testified that O.J. Simpson abused her sister. She told the judge and jury Nicole Brown Simpson often complained about her marriage to friends and family members, telling them that O.J. was physically abusive and frequently beat her. Simpson was asked to try on a pair of bloody gloves found at the murder scene. Throughout his entire trial, Simpson did not testify. The gloves seemed to not fit. The jury found him not guilty of either murder, even though the jury found him liable for the deaths and required him to pay $33 million in damages. And now Brooke will be informing us of the science breakthrough of the decade.
The 1990s brought an important science advancement, the very first cloning of a mammal from an adult cell. Dolly the cloned sheep was significant as she proved that DNA from adult cells could create an entire organism. Up until this point, only frogs, mice, and cows had been cloned using DNA from embryos. However, on July 5, 1996, Dolly the sheep was the first success at the Roslin Institute in Scotland out of 277 previous trials. The new technique used to create Dolly involved taking the egg from one sheep and an adult cell from another, then removing the nucleus from the cell, then fusing the two together using electricity, and creating an enucleated cell and egg fusion. Confusing, right? After letting this combination grow into an embryo, it was implanted into a surrogate mother and brought to full term. Since this process was used for Dolly, it has been greatly improved and led to the creation of stem cells, and on a more negative note, brought about fears relating to the cloning of Dolly and man's ability to manipulate biology. As controversial as this may have been, it was certainly a major advancement in the field of science and technology. Next up is Matina, who will be presenting a fascinating story in the Major League Baseball strike.
For sports, one of the most significant events was for baseball when the '94 World Series was canceled for the first time in 90 years. Baseball players had gone on strike due to owners trying to institute caps on the players' salaries. The salaries of professional players had been increasing steadily since the 70s. If not regulated, it would ultimately bankrupt the teams. On August 11th, the collective bargaining agreement between Major League Baseball and the Players Association expired. That's when negotiations halted and the owners locked out the players. The season was ended August 12, 1994, when the players officially went on strike. A wave of fan unrest spread.
I'm so pissed off right now. I sold my car to pay for this stupid ass game, and now they're quitting? What the hell?
Major League Baseball attendance dropped from an average of 31,000 attendance per game to 25,000 attendance per game. But slowly went back to normal after the strike ended 7.5 months later on April 2nd, 1995. And here's Ahblin.
This decade has also been great for music. One band, Nirvana, hit their climax and their end all within the 10 years. Nirvana took over mainstream 1990s and helped lead the way for grunge music with the release of their most famous album, Nevermind, and song, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Nirvana's grunge genre and anti-establishment flavored songs got people up and thinking about the issues that society was facing. Nirvana brought to the mainstream 1990s something for alienated and outcast teens to relate to. Along with giving teenagers a place to escape inside their own head, Nirvana helped popularize the flannel shirt and bring a whole new creative idea to modern music with individuality, which is obviously shown in their song lyrics and music videos. Nirvana's rebel ideas extended past their songs and was also shown in the way they acted. One example was at the 1992 MTV Music Awards, when Nirvana was not allowed to play Rape Me, but got on stage and played some of it anyways. Unfortunately, on April 5th, 1994, Nirvana's frontman, a tortured artist by the name of Kurt Cobain, took his own life after battling a drug addiction and depression.